I'm going to share my process for pocketed scrapbooking today, which I don't usually do. I usually do my process for 12 by 12 layouts, but and occasionally I will share my pocketed scrapbooking process. I basically don't share it only because it's not really conducive to sharing, because I kind of do it a little bit here and a little bit there, but today I'm going to do a bunch all at once, so I thought I would share the process with you guys. And also my process has changed quite a lot since the last time I did this kind of a video, so I thought it might be interesting for people to see how it changed from last time. Some of the tools that I use is I always use the Scraptastic This Life Noted kit for the month, and this month it comes with an alphabet letter stamp, so I will be using this for some of my titles. And so I always kind of use this as my main source of cards and embellishments, because it's so full of product that I want to make sure that I get it used and get it on my pages. And I only do one page per month at this point. Mostly, if I really wanted to, I could do more. But because I'm only doing one, I have more supplies than I have pages to do. So I always try to draw from this, because this is kind of the freshest, most new and exciting to me. I do keep a tray full of previous month's cards and embellishments. So these are from the past maybe 2 months. I've got some of the 4x6 cards and some of the 3x4 cards, and then just a little assortment of embellishments that I didn't get a chance to use yet. So I kind of draw from this as secondary. And then most things I usually won't bring anything from my stash. So all of my pocketed scrapbooking comes from this or from this. So I just kind of keep this over to the side just in case I need it. The other thing that I do right before I get started with pocketed scrapbooking is I just take a look through my old month's worth of stamps. So every month the pocketed scrapbooking kit from Scraptastic comes with a set of stamps. And so you know, I don't like them to go to waste just sitting here in my basket. So what I like to do is just kind of flip through, and I have a sense, after I've printed up my pictures, I have a bit of a sense of what stories I'm going to tell. So then I'll just go through and I'll pick out anything that I think might I might be able to use. So these are the 3 sets that I got out this time. This one is from July, and then I didn't put the dates on these two, so I can't remember what dates these two are from. And this is from last month though, I think. This one is from March. So this one might be from February. So anyhow, that's kind of just over to the side as well for me to keep in mind, especially where this month the stamp set is an alphabet stamp. I don't have any kind of stamps that are phrases or shapes, so I want to kind of draw upon those if I need them. I might not though. And what else do I keep on hand? I tend to use this Creative Memories trimmer for trimming up all of my photos, because they're smaller photos, so it's easier to use this. I just sit down and I trim them all up before I get started. Lately I've been leaving a border on my 2x2 Instagram photos, and I have really simplified how I do this, where I'm no longer printing a whole bunch of different sizes of photos. Anything that's an Instagram, I print in 2x2. Anything that's not an Instagram, I print in 2x3. And then every once in a while, if I have a photo that I really want to showcase, if it is vertically oriented, I'll print it in 3x4. And if it's horizontally oriented, I'll print it in 4x6. So that's how I do my photos. I'm very simple and I don't do anything kind of fancy or complicated, because this is kind of my, I have more fun with it when it goes quickly and I can get a bunch of cards done and I feel like I'm in a groove. So that's the way that I keep it. So this, if you're wondering what this little pile is, these are photos that I had made up for I had printed up for last month, and they didn't get included in my pockets. So I might kind of, this is something that came in the, it's like the sticker logo that came in the mail with the Japanese DIY candy sets that I've been getting for my kids. I use them as rewards for good behavior. So I really like this. It's just really cute, so I want to include that. And I might go back and include some of these pictures because they're kind of memories that I want to include. So I have those, and I have these are more current pictures. And I have my kit. The other thing that I use a lot of is my tiny attacher. So I'm just going to put that here, and then of course I use my regular adhesive and scissors and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to get started, and you can follow along with my process. Basically, in the past I used to have these templates which were 12 by 12 pages papers. I used to use these. I have a bunch of them. And if I'm using design A, which is what I almost always use, I would put this up here, and then I would kind of keep on filling them with cards until it was all filled, and then I know that I have enough to fill a pocketed page protector. Kind of like this, right? The way I do it now is a lot less organized. So I basically keep on making cards, and I don't really think about where they're going to go. I just make each photo, I make a card, and then I have a little pile of cards, and then I put them in the pockets, and I don't really think about what goes with what. When I'm putting them in the pockets, I might decide, okay, I don't want these two beside each other, but I do all of that after the fact. I don't do any planning for the overall look of the pockets while I'm scrapbooking, because I find it doesn't make a big impact on how my pages look. I don't coordinate my pages. Each pocket is an individual pocket, and so it just wasn't making sense for me to continue to do it that way. So this is the way I'm doing it now, and I really enjoy the process a lot more. And this is a hobby, so I want to enjoy it, right? So this is what works for me. So enjoy.
Okay, so first I just kind of look through the cards, and I'm pretty random in where I start. I don't start at the beginning. I just kind of look through the cards until something, and right here I'm just kind of setting things out. And so this card was on top, and I thought it was easy to start with that because it's just a photo that's cut to the 3x4 size, and so I can just embellish it a little bit with some pieces from the kit here. So I'm using an Ormaloo tag and one of those Avalicious puffy stickers, which I absolutely love. I'm going to cover up the exclamation point with this chipboard heart, and then I'm going to trim off the little pointy end and do a tiny bit of journaling, and that one is done. So now I do have a bit of a story to go with this one, so I'm going to put a companion card beside this one. Just used some cork from the kit along with the chipboard elements that come in the kit just to embellish it, and I'm just going to write out my journaling here with my pen. And when I'm doing pocketed scrapbooking, I usually use a couple of different pen widths. So I usually use a bolder pen for my journaling just because it makes it stand out a little bit. And then I will use a more narrow or smaller point size for the outlining that I do in my pocketed pages. So I just added a couple of enamel dots for interest to that one, and then I called it a day. And now for this one, again, I just have this photo printed up in the 2x2 size, which makes it really easy to stick it on a card, add a bit of journaling, and now I am going to do a bit of a title here. So I took my Stampin' Up! Ink. I'm pretty sure that is Island Indigo that I'm using. That's my go-to blue color. I love, love, love it. And that is by Stampin' Up! And so you'll notice that some of these stamps are, because it's such a tiny font, some of the stamps are connected together still. So just snip them off with your scissors. And I spelled out the letters to spell note to self. And yes, that is Island Indigo. And because there's no colon or period in the letter set, I just used my Stampin' Up! Marker in the same color of ink to make a little colon there. And now I'm going to sprinkle some of those really cute sequins. I love the colors of them. I just put them randomly on there just to add a little bit of interest to the card. And now I'm looking for what I'm going to do next. So I don't always know exactly what card I'm going to use for what photo, but this one, I kind of wanted to use the film strip one for this photo of the ER DVD that I got out of the library, and because it's kind of film oriented. So yeah, I grabbed a couple of things from a previous kit. So the arrow clip and the little circle that says the best, and I think also the little paper bag with the confetti pattern on it. Those are all from a previous kit. I'm just going to pop dot the photo because I'm putting the clip underneath, and so I want the clip to fit without leaving a mark on my photo or a bubble on my photo. I'm just using glossy accents in a very thin amount to stick that paper clip in place. And then I'm going to stick the best underneath there. Just layering all of these pieces. Use a couple of pop dots on the flare badge, and I'm thinking about using the Love This, but I can't quite decide if I'm going to do it or not. And I'd like to get a little something that I can journal on here. And so I cut off the really part of this journaling piece. And this is just one of the 3x4 cards, but I know I'm not going to use all the 3x4 cards, so I'm just kind of sacrificing it for the journaling lines. And then this other thing here is an Ormolu tag from the kit. And I'm going to do my journaling in orange because there's a lot of dark stuff going on this layout, and so I just decided to do my journaling in orange. And I knew I had more story than what would fit on that tag alone. And then even once I took the journaling piece and added it in, I knew that that wasn't going to be enough either. So I just layered the two journaling pieces together. And now I'm going back to it because I wanted to use that Love This Evalicious puffy sticker, and so I decided to put it over there and then do some stapling, and then I had to add that little chipboard star as well. Now I'm just gonna cut around the really just so I can hang on to it, and then this is a Facebook status that I really wanted to capture. It was kind of a fun, or I guess a touching thing that happened, and so I wanted to make sure that I included it. I got a flat tire and a stranger came and helped me. He went out of his way, and so I did record it on Facebook, and also got a ton of comments. I think 88 people commented on it, so I just wanted to kind of keep it for remembrance sake. And so I'm sorry that some of this is happening out of frame there. I think I fixed my camera there. And I'm just layering the photo beneath the Facebook status and then putting a little label in there and putting a little caption, and really like these hearts overlapping each other like this. And using my glossy accents to attach all this stuff together, and then I'll put a staple on more for looks than anything else. And then this happened little sticker from Ormolu, or that sticker's from the puffy stickers from Evalicious, and then this flare badge is from Ormolu. It's got the time on it just because it happened in the morning. And there's another, oh, I had to just straighten that out. And then there's another card done. I think I'm going to write a little something else here. What am I writing? A different pen just so that it stands out. Thought about adding some enamel dots here, but I don't think I'm going to, and that's it for that one. Now, this is a picture of my makeup drawer, which I just organized. I threw out a bunch of old stuff, and I don't really have much makeup, so but it was kind of a bit of a thing, so I wanted to record it. And if you would like to see any of these cards, I know I'm going super fast here. This is on 800 speed because it would have been an hour video otherwise. But if you want to see these cards in up close a little bit more, what I'm going to do is I will post a separate video that is a share of the final product so that you get to see things up close. So I'm just putting the 3x4 card on a 4x6 card. And I'm just using a doily from the January This Life Noted kit, which I never got to use. I'm going to hang on to those scraps because those golden doilies are gorgeous. Adding another little Avalicious sticker, and I'm personalizing it a little bit. And then I'm just going to do my journaling along the lines. They're kind of wonky lines. They go in different directions, but I kind of like that. I love that card. I think that's my favorite card from this month. Gold doilies, man, they just make it a layout. So I do like to use these tabs that come in the kits, and I like to use them for putting little captions and dates and stuff on my photos. So I just had to decide. I think the darker one was just too dark, so I put this kind of mustard colored tag on, and then I layered one of those Evalicious puffy stickers. The whole thing goes on the card like that, and now I'm spelling out the word we. And it doesn't look like we until you dot the I's, even though they're capital I's and they don't, I had to use 2 periods in order to dot them. It just, I don't know, it looked, I don't know, it didn't look right. So, and then I used the marker that came in the kit to write Sports Resort. So it says We Sports Resort. And then I did a little bit of journaling again in orange below. So when I do use colored markers, I try to not use a bazillion different colors. So if I'm not using black, then I try to stick to one color on a given spread. So I've used black, and I've already used orange, and now I've got 2 different shades of blue going on. So I'm sort of breaking my own rule because I used a navy blue pen in one of the other cards and then that light blue pen. But all of my journaling is either in black or in orange, or I'm trying to keep it that way anyways. I just stuck that sticker over that card, and I did cover the cute little globe, but the globe wasn't working for me, so I didn't do any traveling or anything, and I didn't have a use for the globe this month, so I just covered it. Gonna do some more stamping on this one. This is a photo of, it's not the first day of spring, but it's after spring started. We had a big snowstorm, and and everything got frozen, so like there was ice covering all of the trees. It was really pretty, but man, it would have been pretty in December, January, but it wasn't pretty in April. So I made a bit of a mistake in my stamping there. You'll see that there's a blue line up between the N and the G, but I will cover that with my photo. I'll just place my photo a little bit lower than I otherwise would have. Just using some twine from my stash to tie a little bow around this photo. And I had to use a little glue dot just to keep the bow looking the way I wanted it to look. I'm not great with tying bows. And then I just used my Stampin' Up! Marker to write 2014. I'm also going to use the same marker to outline, and this is in, I think it's called Not Quite Navy or Night of Navy. And now what I'm doing here is I'm picking out all the clear tinted colored sequins. So these are the ones that are see-through, not the ones that are opaque. And I'm putting a sequin inside of the circles that is the same color as the circles. So I'm putting green sequins in the green circles, pink in the pink circles, yellow or orange in the orange circles. I just think that's pretty. I love the sequences and the sequins, and I'm trying to use them as much as I can because they're just so pretty. So I'm just going to use my glossy accents to put a little dab in the middle of each circle. And now I'm done. So I'm going to try to let those dry while I pick up and try to put these away. They're all full of static, so I'm having a bit of a hard time chasing them all down. There we go. I'm just going to cut them all off, and some of them are going to move out of place because they're not quite dry yet. I'll just stick them back on. The glue is still a little tiny bit wet, so they stick back on quite nicely too. And there's that card done. I'm going to tidy myself up a little bit before I move on to the next card, which is a filler card. It's just in a flash card, and I just stapled a cork heart to it. Easy peasy. So I'm having a look at what else I want to include in this page, and my dog got a new crate, so I'm gonna document that. he was still in his puppy crate, even though he's 3 years old. He really liked the small crate, and so we were a little bit reluctant to get the big one. He would go in it just for fun and sleep in it when he had a choice of sleeping anywhere else with more space. I think he liked feeling cozy in there, but we had read that a dog should have a bigger crate that they can kind of turn around in, and he could turn around, but he couldn't really stand all that well in it. So we finally got him a crate, and it took him a while to get used to it, but he likes it now. He used to only be like sleep in a tiny little part of it. He liked to sleep so his back was like right against the edge. But anyways, so here are some pictures of my kids' Monster High dolls. They like taking pictures of their dolls with their iPods. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this. I really want to use this card with the colorful numbers on it, but it's not going to work for this particular spread or this particular card that I'm trying to do. So even though these little Ormolu tags have phrases that don't apply for me this month, I'm still using them just by covering up the phrases and having them stick out. I'm using my marker to add a bold outline to the edges of these photos. It will bring the photos, make it clear that they go together, and it also just kind of, I don't know, I just like the look of it. It adds a little something to the card. And now I am going to spell out the word love. This time I'm using the ink called Midnight Muse. It's not all that different from Island Indigo, but it is a little bit darker. It's more of a navy-ish. And again, I'm using the same orange pen to do my journaling. And now I'm going to I'm gonna stamp another word down here, just to balance off the word love, because I just kind of, it felt a little bit off balance. So I'm gonna spell out the word perfect, and I just use a baby wipe to clean my stamps in between stamping them. So now that card is done, and I'm going to do this picture of Charlie out in the snow. He's got snow all over his face. Oh, it looks like I'm going to do this one first. Nope. That one's going to go on this card. There we go. I can't even remember what I did. So just adding a bold outline to that speech bubble just to make it stand out a little bit against all of the stripes. And I'm also going to outline this photo. I'm just kind of going back and forth over it to make the outlining a little bit more bold. Here I'm doing my journaling in the navy blue marker again. So navy blue, black, and orange seem to be the colors that I'm using for my journaling this time. And that's it for that card. Now for this card, I'm going to sprinkle some colors just because I really want to use the card. I love wood. I don't want to cover up the wood. I want the grains to still show, but I just wanted to do something a little bit different than what I've been doing with these cards. So I'm getting this kind of mottled rainbow type of look by adding a whole bunch of colors. And then of course with all these colors it's hard to see the phrase that's on there. So I'm just taking my Stampin' Up! Marker and I'm using the brush tip, and I'm just very gently and very carefully filling in the recessed part, which is the phrase is kind of stamped into the wood. So it is recessed, which makes it a lot easier to trace it, but you just have to kind of, and it's a lot easier with a brush tip marker because your brush can kind of get into all the little nooks and crannies that are in the letters, especially with a serif font like this with lots of little hooks on it. So when you use a marker on wood veneer, it can bleed, and this one did bleed a little bit. You might notice that it's got fuzzy edges, and you'll see those fuzzy edges even more when you see the final product in my next video, but I don't mind, it looks okay. So now here's the really that I cut off of that journaling card, and I'm just going to use it with this card right here, and even though it means covering up a good part of the design on the card, I still really like that little yellow frame sticking out on the edge there. Did my journaling all the way around, And I just wanted a little something to point to where the journaling starts, so I drew an arrow and put an enamel dot.
Cards made. I have a bunch of 4x6 and I have a bunch of 3x4. I'm going to lay them out on these templates that I have, and these are just pieces of cardstock that I went ahead and measured out the sizes of the pockets that are in a design A. Of course, if I flipped it like that, I could do a design D. But I'm doing design A today. So I'm just going to place these cards every here and there. And these are going to be back to back, so they're not going to be facing each other like this, but this is actually a card that I made last month. Or actually, I think this one was from the month before last, but it was kind of an overflow. I made too many that month. So, and I might change my mind about how some of these go, but for now, this is a filler card, and this is sort of a filler card, and I have another filler card here, this one, which I kind of splattered. I'll show you the cards in a little bit more detail after I get them laid out. All right, and this one needs to go with that one. These are the only two that go together, so I need to make sure that they go side by side with that arrow pointing over to there. So I'm just kind of trying to balance off color and also the heaviness of them. So right here I've got kind of too much light altogether, so I'm thinking I might go like that. It spreads out the color too, because these colors are similar to those colors and there's kind of a lot going on there. So if I just kind of move that to there, like that. This is also the point at which I think about whether there's any extra things I need to do, like outlining things for more dimension, or for more contrast, or if I might need to sprinkle some sequins or use some enamel dots over here and there just to add a little something. This is the phase at which I do this. But I feel like I'm liking how this is, so this is how it is. So, and that's it. So now I'm going to show you guys all the cards and what I did with them.